We will start soon. Please be seated. And I have one important house rule to announce. That is, all the trainers, they are prepared for this for a long time. And so they're hoping that everyone can be very concentrated on their talk. And actually the talk time is not so long. So please turn off or put your cell phone away. Don't try to do this. This will distract our trainers.
This is my class now. So this is my rules. If you're working on your cell phone and Betty sees you, it is chocolate for me and Betty. Okay? And if your phone goes off and you answer and it's your boyfriend or your girlfriend, we will answer the phone and we will go, oh no, she cannot come here. You know? So that is the risk. Hello everyone. My name's Bruce and I'm presenting this first 1 hour session. And in 1 hour, I've been asked to do the impossible because we're covering the core competencies of planning, of implementation, and of evaluation. And we normally take, at Curtin, where I come from, we would normally take maybe 45 weeks of classes to do something like that. But because the class here, everyone here is so clever, I've got 1 hour to do that. What I'm going to need to do though, because I'm setting the foundation for the rest of the program. So what I'm going to need to do is to get from you a sense of what you know and what you don't know. Okay? And it's the don't know that is most important at this stage, because we're not going to leave anyone behind. That's not an original Bruce statement, as you would know. So in the purpose of not leaving anyone behind, we have to know where people are and what their understandings are. And we're speaking very specifically about health promotion. And a number of you come from clinical backgrounds. And as such, there may be some things in health promotion that are new to you, or some approaches that might be new. So please let us know so that we can get a sense of where you're at, and then we can help over the next week. So that's really, really important. I'd like to thank Jimba for his commentary about MAD. I think one of the things that's happened as I've got older is I've got madder. And his commentary, for those who weren't here earlier, was about when do you know things are inequitable. And he suggested that it was when you were getting that emotional response. Well, there's a lot that we do in health promotion that should actually elicit an emotional response. You know, when you look at the communities around you, you should be feeling and sensing inequity. And when you do, you know that there's something that needs to be fixed there. Okay. So I'm Secretary General of APAC, Director of a research centre. I've got some materials about my centre that I'll distribute later. And just so I get lunch, you will note that I actually have the logo up here, Betty. So I should get, collaborating centres for health promotion. I should get actually bigger lunch than anyone else. So my centre does a whole range of different lots of research in a whole range of different areas, as do most of the collaborating centres in the room. Okay, we tend to work across populations and across issues. I'm not going to, actually I might play this one. Let me just check. So one of the things, and this is my apologies, last night I sat down and looked at the survey data that I got sent, and I had to come to the conclusion that either the class, everyone's very, very modest, okay, and I suspect that's the case, because when I was looking at how comfortable you felt with the different competencies, I think a lot of people were going, oh, I'm not so good and I'm not so comfortable and I'm not so... So I had to sit down last night and just modify my slides in case that was true. Okay, so my apologies. The slides that you've got in there have been modified last night. My apologies to the organisers because they got them at 11 o'clock. But one of the things I've done within here is I've embedded a whole series of instructional and early, easy to understand video. And this first one, I'm not going to play it, it's just a couple of minutes long, but it talks about return on investment of public health. And it just gives a lot of examples of return on investment. Now, I'll make all of the slides available, so if anyone writes an electronic copy, you're welcome to use them. And for anyone who's a teacher and wants to take them back, it is consistent with
We're going to have a look at health promotion, a very important part of public health and an essential component in any public health program. We'll talk about what it is and have a look at the Ottawa Charter, which outlines some of the important principles of health promotion. So, what is health promotion? Health promotion is defined as the process of enabling people to increase control over and to improve their health. In essence, health promotion is about improving health. But what is health? Well, the World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being rather than a mere absence of disease or infirmary. Good health is not determined by a single factor. A variety of factors such as social, environmental, and economic conditions have an impact on health. These factors not only impact health, but can also make it easier or more difficult for people to make changes to their health. Because of this, health promotion tries to improve health not only by targeting people at an individual level to change their behavior, but by taking a comprehensive approach addressing a broad spectrum of health factors and determinants. Over time, the importance of health promotion has received global attention. In 1986, the first International Conference of Health Promotion was organized by the World Health Organization. It was held in Ottawa, Canada, and an outcome of this conference was the creation of a document called the Ottawa Charter. This was a landmark document and has been influential in providing guidance to the goals and concepts of health promotion. The principles set out in the Charter are still used in health promotion activities today. Since the meeting in Ottawa, there have been other international health promotion meetings which have expanded on other health promotion themes. Now, let's take a closer look at the key components of the Ottawa Charter. The Ottawa Charter describes 5 action areas and 3 strategies to achieve health. Let's talk about the action areas first before we get into the strategies. The 5 action areas are building healthy public policy, creating supportive environments, strengthening community action, developing personal skills, and reorienting health services. Building healthy public policy is the process of developing policies that support health by not only protecting the health of individuals and communities, but also making it easier for people to make healthy choices. This is done by a coordinated approach of legislative, regulatory, organizational, and taxation changes. Healthy policies are not made just by health departments, but from all levels and sectors of government and other organizations. A few examples of healthy public policies are laws requiring people to wear seatbelts and helmets, smoking restrictions, and workplace health and safety regulations. Moving on to creating supportive environments. The environment that people live in, both the natural and built environment, are closely linked to their health. So this action area focuses on places that people live in, their communities, where they work, learn, or play. It aims to increase the ability of people to make health-promoting choices while in those settings. Some examples of this are activities such as promoting health in the workplace, restrictions on junk food advertising for children, and strengthening links between environments and people like walking or running programs. The next action area is strengthening community action. This refers to the collective efforts of communities to improve their health. To give you some examples, community fun runs that promote people to be active, community kitchens that promote healthy eating, and community-based organizations that support people living with HIV/AIDS are all community efforts to improve health. The 4th action area is reorienting health services. Health systems have traditionally been medically dominated and have focused on an individual's curative and treatment needs. This action area aims to make health systems focus more on supporting the needs of people and communities for a healthy life. It takes into consideration the total needs of an individual and encourages health services to focus on strengthening protective factors, reducing risk factors, and improving on the social determinants of health. Let's look at some of the examples of reorienting health services. These include training doctors to assess and educate patients to stop smoking, establishing health educator roles within medical centers to coordinate preventative activities, and improving access to health services for culturally and linguistically diverse populations. Lastly, developing personal skills focuses on supporting personal and social development. This is done by providing information, education, and enhancing life skills to make positive health choices. Examples of this are online programs that provide information on heart disease, distributing educational material on the effects of diabetes, and classes that teach people on how to manage disease. Now that we've covered the 5 action areas, let's talk about the 3 strategies that the Ottawa Charter identified for health promotion. These are to advocate, mediate, and enable. To advocate is to use a combination of individual and social actions to obtain political commitment, policy support, and social systems that support a health goal. To mediate is the process by which different interests of individuals and communities, and also different sectors like public and private sectors, are reconciled in ways that promote and protect health. To enable means that health promotion activities to improve health are taken in partnership with individuals so that they're empowered to take actions to protect and promote their health. And that's the overview of health promotion and the Ottawa Charter in a nutshell.
G'day, I'm Ian Trust, the Executive Chair of Wunan Foundation, a not-for-profit Aboriginal organisation based in Kununurra in the East Kimberley region of Western Australia. I'd like to share with you a metaphor that I've developed to explain the key issues facing my people, the Aboriginal people of the East Kimberley. It's titled Swimming the River. The way I see it is like this. For most of the past 70,000 years, if you were Aboriginal, you had to cross a harsh and unrelenting desert. In this harsh environment, we not only survived, but prospered, and this was long before we had mining royalties and government services. The key to our survival, of course, was a close-knit community where everyone cared about the well-being of each other, where everyone contributed to the survival of your community. If you were a child, you learned from the day you were born how to survive in this harsh environment and the rules which maintained your community. Elders enforced strict norms and values and a sense of responsibility towards each other, our children and our old people. These things were embedded in our culture. A couple of hundred years ago, the first settlers arrived and our world was turned upside down. Our people no longer roamed free anymore, and new skills were needed to succeed in this new world. Now, instead of the desert, there were new barriers to our survival that we needed to navigate. Now we had to learn to swim a river. And where you learn to swim this river is at places they call schools. These schools are set up to teach you how to read and write and other important skills so you can swim the river. And the reason that we must learn to swim the river is because all the opportunities in this new world are on the other side of the river. These opportunities include things such as jobs, houses, and business opportunities, all of which contribute to a better life. Many of our families have learned to adapt to this new world and understand the importance of their children learning how to swim from an early age. These families support their children, walking alongside them all the way to the bank of the river to make sure they know how to swim. Even when these children go all the way through school, they don't swim straight across the river, but they make it to the other side because they've learned one of the most important skills, how to adapt. Unfortunately, in the East Kimberley, we estimate that only 40% of our families walk alongside their kids all the way to the river bank. The other 60% of our families don't understand the importance of parents walking alongside their children. Because of a lack of parental support, the children from these families are in and out of the education system, and by the time they leave school, they haven't acquired the skills they need to swim the river. In most cases, they don't make it to the other side to access the opportunities there. This river is a dangerous place to be. There's a strong current, and it's called welfare, and those without the skills or the motivation to cross the river get swept along in the grip of the current. The reason why the river is dangerous is because downstream in the river lives a couple of big crocodiles. These crocodiles are drugs and alcohol. History has shown us over the last 40 years in the East Kimberley, the longer you stay in the river, chances are you will end up in the jaws of one of those crocodiles. Unfortunately for many of my people, that is exactly what has happened. Of course, some of the people who have ended up in the mouths of crocodiles have gone on to be parents. In turn, many of them have not walked alongside their children to the riverbank, and so the cycle passes from one generation to the next. In some families, it has been going on for at least 4 generations. The byproduct of this tragedy for many families who have been swept down the river has been poor health and living conditions, homelessness, domestic violence, mental illnesses, fetal alcohol syndrome disorder in children, and suicide. Many of them have lost their culture and language and have ended up in prison. The difference between those families who have learned to swim the river and those who haven't is dependent upon 3 things. These are having access to opportunities in education, employment, and housing. Having the ability to access these opportunities, and having a level of responsibility to bring the other 2 together. In the East Kimberley, there are plenty of opportunities, and our people have lots of ability, but the thing that is missing is individual and family responsibility. That's what can help people move forward and help us rebuild our culture. A key question to ponder is, why have we not broken the dysfunctional cycle that results in many of our people ending up in the mouths of crocodiles? The answer, I think, is low expectations from the government and from the community at large. The assumption is these people do not have the ability to swim the river. As a result, a lot of money goes into pulling people out of the mouths of crocodiles, rather than ensuring they learn to swim the river. The other part of the answer is that people know that the solutions will require some tough decisions in areas such as welfare reform and holding parents responsible for their children's well-being. But the bottom line is that without these tough decisions, nothing will change.
Okay, we will have just 5 minutes break. So please come back on time. Okay, thank you.
人的身体哦，就亲像这个菜样啦。人的身体哦，就亲像这个菜样啦。有真。
所以我们一人30分钟正正。哎，也没有。你要这个的话，我需要laser 那个。这个是 laser， 然后下一张这个是下一张。OK， 好，可以。然后等一下是用这个对。 一路 delay。Okay, everyone, because I had to make sure that everyone will have a good lunch, so we had to start. In this section, I will have 30 minutes to introduce a planning. I will use the colorectal cancer screening as the topic. First, I will introduce about the epidemiology of the colon cancer. And as we all know that we are afraid a lot about the communicable disease, but actually NCD is the biggest killer around the world. And in Taiwan is approximately 70% of the total deaths is coming from NCD. And the 4 major NCD actually occupied 62%. And we noticed that 27.7% coming from cancer. And this is the top 10 leading cause of death in Taiwan. You can see the cancers is always the first one and far above the second one, cardiovascular disease. It's 126.8 per 100,000. Among the cancers, colorectal cancer is the third for the mortalities. First is lung, second is liver. And we can see, fortunately, all of them showed a little bit down, colon cancer a little bit downward. So globally, colon cancer is the third most common cancer in men and the second most common cancer in women. We've talking about the mortality rate, and how about the incidence rate in Taiwan is about to be 43 per 1,000 per 100,000. So it's the third leading cause of cancer deaths and the second for the incidence rate. If we divide it into men and women, and you can see in men, the incidence rate of colorectal cancer is the highest. And for women, it's the second, just follow the breast cancer. And all of them, the mortality rate is located in the third. And this is the trend of the incidence rate and the trend of mortality rate since 1986 to now. As if we are comparing with the OECD countries, where our incidence rate is actually 5th, and the mortality rate is 11, which is very high. So it is a very important disease here in Taiwan. Next, I would introduce a little bit about the cancer prevention and control in Taiwan. In Taiwan, as you already see in the previous slide, cancer is the big issue of the mortality. So we have a lot of things going with the cancer policies. We have a political commitment. Right now, we are using the WHO 2025 with a reduction of 20% of the premature mortality rate. We actually have a Cancer Prevention Act since 2003. And we have a National Cancer Control Program. It started from 2005 and it's moved forward to the third phase. We have cancer registration. And the biggest thing is the money. We use the 11% of all the tobacco surcharge to allocate it for the cancer prevention and control. And this is our target. We are expecting that will 25% going down by 2025. For the cancer control strategy, we are following the WHO's strategy. First, the most important must be in prevention, and you have to do the risk reductions. We have the tobacco, the alcohol, the physical activity, and the unhealthy diet issue as well around the world. Also, we have betel nut chewing programs in some special area, and the special, for example, like the drivers and the architecture, construction workers. And we have hepatitis B and HPV vaccine in our here, and we also will have to dealing with air pollutions. And for the early detections, we actually have 4 cancer screening programs. We have cervical cancer, breast cancer, colorectal cancer, and the oral cancer.
And we also do the surveillance for the HCC in the high-risk group. For the treatment, all the treatment is actually covered by the National Health Insurance here. So we paid a lot of money here for the cancer treatment. And we are doing some quality assurance for this. And we also have a very good achievement about the palliative care in Taiwan. Well, I'll bring back to the cancer screening. This is the 4 cancers I mentioned. Probably the first around the world to adopt what WHO recommended, all the 4 cancer screening. And this is the Economist ranking between all the Asia countries with and including Australia. And Taiwan shows the best. There's a little bit room of improvement because the dark blue means you are good, very good, and a light one means you need to improve, and especially this, you need a lot of improved. Okay, and that's a very brief idea about our cancer prevention control. And let me introduce the colorectal cancer screening as the project, as how to plan a whole project for your countries or anything. Okay, according to the WHO's screening criteria, if we want to do a colorectal cancer screening, is that a very important disease? Yes, I have already said that. This is a very important disease. And the treatment and the recognized disease is accepted. And facility for diagnosis and treatment is good. And there is a latent and symptomatic stage for the disease. And besides this, we have to find the suitable test or examinations, and is acceptable to the populations, and see the natural history of condition understood, and agree of the policies, and you have the money for that, and it's a cost saving, at least if it's a cost effective. And the case findings should be continuous process. So we check all this and find that the colorectal cancer is doable, the screening is doable. Let us first check. This is important disease, and is that recommended? If we use the USPSTF recommendation, yes, the evidence-based, the grade of recommendation is A, and is suggests the age from 50 to 70 years old. You have you can use either the fecal occult blood test or flexible sigmoidoscope or colonoscope as the screening. And he also recommends the method and the durations. Use annually or biannually. And if you use a colonoscope, you can do it according to the patient's condition, so whether it's 10 years or 5 years intervals. And after we evaluation of this, and we are trying to find whether it's cost effectiveness, and we find in Taiwan, if we use FIT for the screening tour, it will be cost saving. So we decided to use the FIT, and doing that first for the age 50 to 60 years old at first. And first of all, we started to do the pilot study. This pilot study is in Keelung area since, from 1999 to 2002. And after that, we see a lot of progress. So the national CRC screening program started in 2004 and gradually rolled out till 2010. It will be nationwide, so we can see the subject screening. There is a peak here, and this is the kits we use. We use single sample biannual services, and extended to 75 years old since 2013. And how we deliver that? We deliver that either through the hospital, clinic, or to the community. And the confirmation, we use in colonoscope. Okay, we built a flow chart of this screening. And if you are aged 50 to 70 years, you come either to the hospital clinics or through our outreach and screening. We use FIT, is positive. The confirmation is paid by the National Health Insurance. If it's negative, you can go to the every 2 years. And we have a database for the screening. So pre-screening, we have to do the, that's the SOP, and then you have to monitor the management, quality management. Pre-screening, we have to certify the lab because the test accuracy is very important. And we train the personnel, the capacity buildings, and we set the SOP. We set the SOP and the cutoff values, the diagnosis, and the follow-up. And during the screening, we had to identify the whom. That Bruce has already told us. You have to do who, what, when, and how. And we ask them to get informed consent and fill a lot of sheet because there's a screening database. And if they are positive, we have a referred programs for them to do the timely diagnosis. And after the diagnosis, you can receive the timely treatment. And post-screening, we have to analyze and monitor evaluation of the result, whether it's a good screening rate, the positive predict value, the case years, and monitoring all the qualities and the analysis, the cost effectiveness. And this is post-screening. They have overall screening numbers, rate, and monitoring the sensitivity, specificity of the programs. And we also monitoring our colonoscopy quality to see whether it's cleansing enough, is the adenoma detecting rate good, is the sickle intubation rate good, and analysis of. During that time, we also had to enhance in healthcare assistance. There's a full coverage of the screening items in addition to diagnosis, treatment, and palliative care. So the care systems won't hesitate to do that. And we have extra payment for if it's a good performance. And we have a multi-channel delivery. You will ask me, why don't you using the organized screening method? Because in Taiwan, the mail address is only have 60% correct. Most of our address belongs to our own home when we are young kids. So nobody is there yet. So there's a big problem. So we use this hospital because in Taiwan, the National Health Insurance pay for anything. So everybody go to a hospital and clinics very easily. The coverage is very high, which is not good, but it's good for us to find them in the hospital. So we use the multi-channel delivery, majority from the hospital and clinics. And besides, we still have a lot of healthy people around in the community, so we do both of them. So this is the way we do in the clinics, and this is the way we do in the community. And the other thing is advocacy, information, and education. We not only advocacy in the press media, in Facebook, everywhere. We also go to the hospitals and the communities to educate them and put the sign everywhere. And we also have
人的身体哦，就亲像这个菜样啦。有真侪小毛病哦，平常时连家己都唔知影，因为拢秘伫你看袂到、感觉袂到的所在。好佳在，迄天有去做大肠癌的检查，就亲像咧抓虫共款，早期发现、早期治疗，才会当互咱的身体哦健康勇健。
政府补助50到74岁的民众，每2年做一摆大肠癌检查。
I believe Professor Xie can understand because this is Taiwanese version. We have 3 different voices versions for this. So try to find the Molly calipator. Yeah, it's like your precancerous lesions. Actually, that is done by Section Chief Zhou. Please stand up. Yeah, it's a very good job. And there's 3 ways to get the target. If they come to the hospital, we ask the hospital that you must have a pump out announcement for the doctors and the nurses that this one had to go to colorectal cancer screening. And the other thing is call out, especially when we're doing in the community. And we also call the community screening through our partners. We will hear the partners from Professor Lao tomorrow. And the last thing is monitoring and evaluation. Here in Taiwan, we have a lot of database. Like I said, that we have a national screening database. And then we have a cancer registry, we have national health research database, and we have a course of this database. And these can actually link to each other, so we can calculate it and evaluation the outcome. This is the total screening persons, and we can find the precancerous lesion and the cancer lesions. And the case year is about 23, 22, and the is probably 2 per PPV nearly every years. However, the screening rate is not good enough, so we have a lot of advocacy. It's only 40%, so we need to raise this. And the complete of the diagnosis rate is around 75%, so there's room for improvement. So you can see the problems if you're monitoring and evaluations. And this is the difference between the girls and the men and the women. And this is comparison between, I don't know whether this is right, okay, just according to the website. And the screening rate is not so good in Taiwan, so we need to have a lot of improve of this. So our director Zhou did another job using design thinking, which is a nudge. The behavior insight team in Singapore and in Australia and in London, we've been there and visit and learn something back. So we are doing some design thinking so to try to improve our screening rate. And this is what they said. They just use these sheets and put the monies, let the participants know that this is very valuable. So you can go directly to somewhere and then you can just easily to do this screening. And it actually raised in the 2 different hospitals. And how about the outcomes? This outcome is coming first during, I believe this 2015. And during that time, the screening rate is only about 20%. So there is a mortality rate decreased 10%. But these continuous followed. But these subjects as continuous followed in 2014. And during that time, the repeat screening rate is already 52.3 for these groups and it already yield a 44% reductions of the mortality. So it's proof it's a very benefit and effective programs. And we actually see the numbers, not only the rate, the standardized rate, also the numbers of the colorectal cancer incidence running down. Well, the challenges that I already mentioned, that through the monitoring, we know that we have a low coverage rate, and we have to move more up for the follow-up confirmation. And we face the challenge that we have a lot of aging people that need a lot of money, but we are short of that. And the other thing is the quality-based payment from our national health insurance is very good for the patient, but that moves all the hospitals and the physicians and the caregivers to do the medicines and not the prevention. And in the third phase of national cancer prevention, we emphasize that the lifestyle change and the screening as well. So, conclusion, this is a good programs, and through the planning, through how to implementation, and through the monitor and the evaluation. And let's continue to do that. And thank you for your attention. Yep, I have 5 minutes to discussion. Is there any questions that you want to ask me? Professor Lau?
Chen, that's an excellent presentation. I'm just wondering, because the effectiveness, it's, I would say that it's rather successful. Now, is it implemented in all the hospitals in Taiwan, or is this in Taipei?
You mean the IT system?
Yeah.
Yes, all the hospitals in Taiwan. We
Wow.
subsidize.
You subsidized it?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Because here in Taiwan, every hospital, every clinic have his system. They have to they have to claim the benefit from national health insurance through that system. So through that system, we subsidize them, just not a very big money, just a small money to ask them to install this. Is there any other question?
Thank you, Professor Chen. It's a very sophisticated system that covers the whole country. What I'm interested to know is, what are your approaches related to the primary and primordial prevention? I mean, do you have strong approaches related to, say, dietary control or healthy diets and whatever, and also the primordial prevention related to detection, genetic markers, so on and so forth? Now, this is the screening part. What's the policies related to? Is it as strong as this?
I would like to say that in the phase 1, no, but in phase 3, yes. We are now in phase 3 national cancer control programs, because we have noticed that at first we are doing screening first, and then find out that if you do not change the lifestyle, they will come in up. So we are focused to the lifestyle change since 2015, so it's already 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. And if there's no other question, then I can ask one of our trainee. Who is not accused by Bruce? Yeah. Okay, from your country, do you have a colorectal cancer screening? Please introduce yourself first. Probably you're not the only one in the country here.
Yeah, because I'm in the Sabah University, and then in Sabah it's Malaysia. So we have the colorectal screening, but I'm not sure how much we cover, and then we can ask them.
Yeah, yes. You can answer. I know Malaysia have a lot of friends here.
Hi, I'm Li Lan from Institute for Health System Research. The reason why I say that I try to answer is because I was called to help to understand why there's a community not coming to do this screening. Because the head of this program is actually we are working together. So there's a problems about the screening awareness. I think most of them community aware, but why they are not coming for screening? So we try to understand from the qualitative perspective and why, and also that there's another thing about the I don't know, because the priority is when we have a little money, whether the money will give to which program, whether is it cancer is the priority issue in the country or NCD or other things. So there's a fighting to get the money, to get the grant for each individual program. So that is, I was surprised and admire Taiwan can do very good.
Because all the NCD and the cancer control belongs to one administration, which is us. So we do not have a compete of the budget. Instead, they're probably a little bit compete. Do you have any opinion, Director Zhou, Section Chief of the colorectal cancer screening? Let's give him a pause.
Well, my problem is that men among age 50 to 75, they don't come to hospital or community to take fit screening. That's the problem, because the screening rate, if divided by gender, the female can up to 60%, I think. But for men, around 40 something. So it's my problem. And you can see my boss show that in the previous slide, the mortality rate among men is much higher than women.
And do you have the same problems? The lady coming from Taipei City government, who in charge of these areas. If you have any complaint, you can ask him. And if you want to go to offshore islands to have fun, you can ask the deputy commissioner. Please stand up. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any word to say? I have only 30 seconds for you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm come from Taipei City government. Taipei government follow this program in community and the hospital. If people positive, we agree to revert to hospital and diagnosis to education people. It's very important. So we think screen and health promotion is very important. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm doing my job within time. Please, let's welcome next speaker.
Let's welcome the director of the Institute for Health System Research, Ministry of the Health, Malaysia, Dr. Nur Isai Shaki.
Thank you, Prof. Liling. So, distinguished speakers and all participants from all over the world. Firstly, I would like to thank you to the organizer, especially Prof. Betty and also Prof. Since the last 2 years that we have met, then this is my second time to Taiwan. Meaning they are already satisfied with my presentation last year. So they invite me again today. So thank you very much. So my topic will be on the National Strategic Plan to Combat NCD 2016-2025 Malaysia Experience. So this is my outline of presentation, just to cover a bit until the key challenges and barriers. Okay, prevalence of selected NCD risk factors. In Malaysia, we really have a big challenge to combat these non-communicable diseases, where based on our National Health Morbidity Survey in 2015, among the Malaysian adult population more than 18 years old, so 63.6% men and 64.5% women are either overweight or obese. 43% men smoke, 59% of men ages 21 to 30 are smoking. And also have hypercholesterolemia, have hypertension, and also 16.7% men and 18% of women have diabetes mellitus. So, okay, these are the prevalence of diabetes in Malaysia, 1986 to 2015. We have our National Health Morbidity Survey initially it's every 10 years, and now we are doing it every 4 and 5 years. These are the figures from that National Health Morbidity Survey. And these are the diagnosed, the blue color is the diagnosed diabetic, and the undiagnosed is the red color. And it's quite worrying because the trends are increasing from our population survey. And these are the diabetes projection for the year 2025, where we are quite worried with the diabetic projection. The prevalence is going up if we follow, if we look at the trend from National Health Morbidity Survey. And these are from the data for population 15 years and above, from our National Health Morbidity Survey as well. These are the 10 years and these are the 5 years. If we look at the 2006 until 2015, for diabetes, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, overweight, obesity, physical activity, inactivity, I'm sorry for the physical inactivity, and also smoking, is the trend is increasing. Okay? So this is very new. You can check it in WHO website, where this is the country profiles in 2018 using 2016's data. So for Malaysia, with the total population of 31 million, and based on this proportional mortality, 74% NCD are estimated to account for 74% of all death. And the most is the cardiovascular diseases. If just now Taiwan has the cancer, the colorectal cancer is the most as the leading for mortality. But for us, it's cardiovascular diseases. And we look at all these are NCDs. Cardiovascular disease 35%, other NCD 16%, cancers is 16% of all death. And these are all the national target set. One is on premature mortality from NCDs, physical inactivity. These are all our target for males and females. So in 2016, these are all the data. We also worry about raised blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. Okay, these are the attributed to risk factors. If we look at this, these are for female and these are for male. Diabetes, high BMI, tobacco, and high BP. I was informed that all the participants here are all from different background. They are also non-medical background, but I hope you can understand what we are explaining. So, and these are the deaths attributed to risk factors. I think the same thing to female and male with high BP, and male are more in tobacco. Diabetes is almost the same for male and female. High cholesterol and also high BMI. Okay, so based on that, I would like to share with you how we plan our national strategic plan for NCD. And this, I think it is not new with our Sustainable Development Goals era now until 2030, where number 3 is the good health and well-being, to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. But all sectors are health sectors. Okay. These are the global monitoring framework that with 25 indicators to combat NCD. So first to see mortality and mobility, the risk factors, and national systems response. This is where we are using to come up with our national strategic plan. And we also looking at the global NCD targets, where these are just to show, to share with you. There are few NCD targets from WHO, where first is on premature mortality. I think it is inside the country profile from WHO just now. Okay. And we have this national strategic plan for NCD in 2010 to 2014. And the current strategic plan is 2016 to 2025. So what we did, this plan is already presented and approved by our cabinet and provides a framework to strengthen NCD prevention and control. We adopt whole of government and whole of society approach with diabetes and obesity are used as the proxy to plan this national strategic plan. And what we did is we review and revisit this strategic plan 2010-2014 to come up with the new strategic plan, where in this 2010-2014 we have these 7 strategies. And when we revisit, this is where is the evaluation of the national strategic plan previously, and we found out that we have our strength, weakness, and also threat and opportunity. What we are looking at the weakness where lack of indicators and evaluation criteria, no specific target for each strategy outline, and no specific measurable achievement in each strategy. Whether we plan to fail or we fail to plan, right? And we have this opportunity, but with that we have our strength and also opportunity that we will try to strengthen to overcome all these problems. So the way forward for NCD prevention for 2016-2025, so it's based on current global themes and mandate like I presented just now. And we overarch framework for strengthening NCD prevention and control in Malaysia. And this strategic plan is in line with the global action plan. So the new national strategic plan for NCD for 2016-2025 provide the framework for strengthening NCD prevention and control program in Malaysia. We also still adopt the whole of government and whole of society approach. So these are all the strategies with to strengthen national capacity, leadership, governance, multi-sectoral action and partnerships. And this is one of the health promotion core competency. Okay, to reduce modifiable risk factors for NCD, strengthen and orient health system to address the prevention and promote and support national capacity for high quality research and development, and to monitor the trends and determinants of NCDs. So, using this approach, so we engage all the stakeholders, we describe the program, focus evaluation design, we gather credible evidence, justify conclusion, and we ensure use and share lessons. And the standard is the utility, feasibility, propriety, and accuracy of the data. So next will be when we already come up with that national strategic plan is how to implement and how to monitor and evaluate. Okay. So these are all the inside the national strategic plan and NCD with indicators. Remember that we already evaluate the previous strategic plan where we are lack of indicators that support the NCD. So these are all the plan of action under the NSP NCD, which cover all of the, is cut across all activities and also programs. What we did is the existing plan of action or strategic plan, we consolidate everything in S1 under National Strategic Plan for NCD. So all of these have all the indicators. And okay, actually, just now Taiwan said have cancer control. We have National Strategic Plan for Cancer Control Program actually until 2020, and we have cancer registry. It's only that the structure of our government is different from Taiwan, where Ministry of Health structure is from national up to the local level. But the local government is under different ministry. Yes. So it is a big challenge where we need to have a multi-sectoral collaboration. So the hospital, the clinics are all under Ministry of Health. They are not under local government. So the local government are looking at the community and also population. So this is where, when come to this national strategic plan, we have to collaborate and partnership with all the local government and also other ministries that I will share later. So under this, we have all these 9 strategic or action plan under this national strategic plan. So including the nutrition, obesity, salt reduction strategy, tobacco control, alcohol action plan. These are one that I will share after this, where we have national strategic plan for active living and enhanced primary healthcare initiative. And our Institute for Health Systems Research, is one of the institute to evaluate this initiative. And Dr. Leland is one of the primary investigators for this project for the facility level. And we are at the one is at the end stage to analyzing the data and also presenting to our stakeholder. And we have cancer control, and this one is a community empowerment initiative in Malaysia. We call it as COSPAN initiative. It is we empower the community, but to initiate that initiative, we pump in some budget. Yeah? And we have also COSPAN Plus, where it is for workplace. Yeah? Okay. So these are just to show you few of our national strategic plan. These are national strategic plan for active living. These are the on nutrition. These are on tobacco control. And in our national strategic plan for NCD, we are using life course approach. If you see this one, from pre-conception, infant, preschool, school going age, higher education, and adult, and all these are the activities based on the life course approach. For example, is the for pre-conception intervention package for young couples at pre-conception. We have pre-pregnancy screening for all these pre-conception. And when it's pregnancy, it is free of charge for all the maternal health services. And the preschool, we have school canteen guideline. This is where all the schools are under Ministry of Education. So we partner with the Ministry of Education to have their buy-in for all these our initiatives. And we have My BFF at school. My body is fit and fabulous. Yeah? My BFF. My body is fit and fabulous at school. And we also have My BFF at work. And we have a young doctors club. We initiate all the school children to have interest in medicine, medical area. And this is process for all the higher education and workplace. And the COSPAN Plus is at the workplace, and COSPAN is at the community level. So I just would like to share some examples from tobacco and games in Malaysia. So these are our strategic plan. We are this FCTC Malaysia, and we have MQuick service. And Malaysia became a signatory on FCTC on 23rd September 2003. And we are the secretary to the WHO FCTC Convention. We call it as FCTC Malaysia. And from this WHO Framework Convention, we come up with these are under the Act, Tobacco Control Regulations under the Act. We have to go to the Parliament to build this Act. And we have the National Strategic Plan, 2015 to 2020. So we are using M-Power approach. So I will explain. The M stand for monitor. So meaning we have all the indicators. These are one of the survey among Malaysian adolescents on tobacco and e-cigarettes. And these are all the findings. and we are doing it in scale. Okay, and then P, protect. These are our target for non-smoking area expansion plan. So currently we have a long list of all these non-smoking area expansion plan to protect the community. And then next is from Empower is O. We offer like integrated quit smoking services, and currently is our health services almost 70 to 80% are provided by the government, and the rest are from the private. But with this integrated quit smoking, the private also take part for MQuit initiative. And this the next is W1. So in the cigarettes we put all these on messages that to prevent smoking. And we are really fighting for the plain packaging cigarettes. And E is enforce bans. We ban all these with names advertisement. And so far, there's none of the Nikan advertisement with their brand. But still, no, they still can buy a cigarette from everywhere. So it's a stand counter, promotion on pack sleeve, and promotion on cigarette box. Okay. And another E is on enforcement activities. This is to show you there are few enforcement activities going on in Malaysia. And R is raise tax. I like if you can push for sin tax. And then like what Taiwan have did for cancer. We really hope that we can win for that sin tax with our current government. It's a new Malaysia now. Okay. So next is partnership building, diversity and inclusiveness. As I mentioned that our system is a bit different, where Ministry of Health and other ministry have working separately. So under this National Strategic Plan, this is where we have our current inter-sectoral mechanism, coordination committee, where it's chaired by our Deputy Prime Minister, the highest level of this committee, where all the minister is the members of this committee. And the main TOR is to determine policies that creates a living environment which supports positive behavioral changes of the population towards healthy eating and active living. Here, Ministry of Health is the leading agency, Ministry of Education, Information Communication, Rural and Regional Development, Youth and Sports, Human Resource. This is where under the National Strategic Plan for Active Living, so all of them are responsible for. And also the Minister of Housing and Local Government is under this. Okay. So lesson learned from the past and current attempts to work with other sectors. Go for the path of least resistance. So when there is a buy-in, then we go first to those who agree with our plan. And compromise, find the middle path. If you don't want this way, what is the option for you to come to us? Then be creative, think out of the box. Maybe we cannot use existing mechanism, but previously used to move the NCD prevention and control agenda forward. So we will try to put whatever ideas from them to move forward for NCD prevention. And we need to sensitive with current global and national trends. At the same time, we need to also sensitive to our culture of Malaysia. So we have our three main community, which is Malay, Indian and Chinese. So now we know as Malaysia. Yeah? No more, if you go to any restaurants, the Chinese, Indian, Malay will eat the same menu. So this is very sensitive issue on culture. Okay, and we follow all this advocacy cycle. We get the evidence, we monitor, evaluate and learn, we mobilize resources. And the resources does not come only from Ministry of Health. We are using other ministry and also the community participation and empowerment. Okay. Okay, just to share with you this National Strategic Plan for Active Living. We have 2017 to 2025. And there's I think you can upload all this info from this link. And these are the documents that saying all this on active living. And we highlight on more reasons for being active. And we also highlight on social and cultural background of Malaysia. And this handsome man is our Director General of Malaysia. I think Prof. Betty and Prof. Sue have seen him. And there's no longer any question about the validity of using social media. You can check his Facebook, his Twitter with it, Hisham Abdullah, and he will always update his status, but with all the information, including the NCD information. And this NASPAL is National Strategic Plan for Active Living. And this policy and related key policies. We have our, we call it as Malaysian Plan, 5-year Malaysian Plan. So we link with all the strategic trust in the that national Malaysia Plan. Yeah? Because that is the highest policy at higher level where all the ministry will refer to. So we link our national strategic plan to this strategic trust. And with the SDG and also the global NCD target. And these are the synergy blocks for promoting active living in Malaysia, where if you see this one, there's a key strategies, key sectors, key setting, outcome, and finally, our goal is active communities through active places and active people. Okay? And the implementation for the active living, we propose leading agency here, Ministry of Health. This is a Ministry of Youth and Sports Malaysia. We have the youngest minister in Malaysia, is only 25 years old. Minister of Youth and Sports Malaysia now. Yeah, but sorry, I didn't put his picture here. It's a side, it's very young, 25 years old. And Ministry Communication and Multimedia Malaysia and Ministry of Education Malaysia for school program. And Minister of Finance, definitely we need budget, so the finance must be in. Ministry of Urban Wellbeing, Housing and Local Government Malaysia, where I will show you what is the local government has done for this to support the environment for active living. Okay, these are all the initiative or the changes have been made by the local government to support our strategic plan for active living. They provide the cycle lane, and these are very nice and beautiful lake in one of big city in Malaysia. This is my hometown, Shah Alam. This is the big lake. And you will see around this lake, there will be a 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps, indicator. Yeah. So, okay. So this are the 10,000 step, and they show it the map of the 10,000 steps there. And every third week, every third Sunday of the month will be a no car day for all the big cities in Malaysia. So when there is no car days, then they will come and then next this one. And this they provide a very good environment support for any activities, the physical activity. Okay, this the no car day, and this is a hari tanpa kenderaan, meaning no car day. Yeah, and KL car free morning is every third Sunday. All meaning in every third Sunday of the month in all big cities will be no car day, and we will have all the activity. And this good time to do the same activities together with all our family members. Yeah? Okay? Like you can see here, all the family members, and this one also. And most of the time, during that third third Sunday of every month, they will have like a fun run or big run or walk or something like that. And these are Shahalam, and these are like this. No Kadi, but they have this cycle competition. Okay, so this evaluation, this outcome and impact evaluation to assess the effectiveness of NASPA. We are using National Health Morbidity Survey. We study in collaboration with university, health literacy surveillance, and all the other. And one is a book dog active application. And one of the approach in our strategic plan is an app a day keeps the doctor away. It's no more an apple a day keep doctors away. Okay, so the digital health solution can be a catalyst for behavioral change. They are Naluri, Book Dog Active, and Cospan Active. And these are just to share with you the Naluri where the insurers, the hospitals, and employers are getting together to come up with this initiative. And from the survey, they are comfortable, 96% comfortable with online chat, 73% enjoy health coach interaction, and 69% completion rate. Okay. And we also form a telemedicine development group to support the ICT development for the National Strategic Plan. And is co-chaired by our DG and also the Multimedia and Communication Ministry. And these are Digital Health Innovation Roadmap under that technical working group. And we have all these the challenges, is ideas to prototype, and Malaysia Digital Health Innovation Hub to facilitate for this towards market. What are the key challenges and barriers? Who have come to Malaysia? If you know Malaysia, Malaysia is a food heaven. 1,001 menu you can eat there. So there is really big challenge for us. 24 hours, yes, I want to show that. So the personal choice versus government responsibility. What I have shared with you just now are all government responsibility. We have done that, we have done this, but it's still a personal choice, whether you want to change or not. The awareness, knowledge, the health promotion and education will increase awareness and knowledge, but we need action, whether we can change the behavior. And if we want people to make healthy choices, we have to make healthy choices available, accessible, and affordable. So we need to change the environment. Rather than put a high step, so we lower it as though there's no resistance to it. Okay? And this is what the 24 hours restaurant, 24 hours of fast food in all Malaysia, and you know this are nasi lemak, nasi biryani, satay, and all this is really food heaven in Malaysia. Yeah? Hungry already. Look, I purposely put this picture so to make you hungry. And these are all our health promotion initiative. So it's a really big challenge. The more we do our health promotion, the more the industry will fight for it, right? So you look at these foods and you look at this. Sometimes we just use the same, the same poster, the same until you just, if you just walk and you don't know that the poster is existing, right? So that's a big challenge for us. Okay, and you see, this one is Run 2018. It's a competition, run competition. But what did they put? They give this as the free breakfast to all runners. If you run 3 kilometers, and do you think this can beat the calories that you take from that one? And another thing is, now, I think yesterday we have discussed during our trainers meeting on Uberization of food. This one. And in Malaysia we have Food Panda, and you put there and 10 vouchers for Food Panda. So it will more, the more they will promote their products, and it will really challenge for and these are the Foodlicious Kitchen, where it is a food delivery as well. Yeah, with a special order, lunchbox delivery. These are all will make Proscia is more hungry lah on this one. Okay, and our issues also aging population. We are projecting in 2040 is 14.5 aging population. Okay, and rising burden of non-communicable diseases. So the summary, Malaysia has a very high exposure to NCD risk factors, especially the cardiovascular diseases, and the whole of government and whole of society approach in our national strategic plan. And we are hoping that digital health solution can be a catalyst for behavioral change. Partnership, diversity, and inclusiveness are the key points for success. Okay, you know this, our 93 years old Prime Minister, where he's still cycling and he's still, if he walk, is still upright position. And what he write in Malay, how do I stay fit? No smoking. The first is no smoking. Second is no alcohol. Stop eating when you are full. Before you full. Stop eating before you full. And then always read. Whether you are young or old, you need to read. And there is no magic for everything. This is the message from our Prime Minister. And we feel ashamed if we cannot beat him in 93 years old. I'm only 53 years old. 40 years different with him. Okay, so with that, thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge our DG of Health Malaysia, and also the special thanks to NCD Control Section, Dr. Faizul, Liana, and Nur Raihan, and also our former NCD Public Health Consultant, and all relevant stakeholders. With that, thank you very much. Please welcome to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. This is Kuala Lumpur, and this to Putrajaya. I think Prof. Betty and Sir have met. I've gone to Putrajaya and KL. So thank you very much.
Because the time limit, we can open one or two questions. Does anyone have a question for the Dr. Nur Ishaq Shaki? You run over.
I have a question. In Indonesia, we just
yeah.
My name is Harry from Indonesia. In Indonesia, we just apply the syntax for the consumer product. And since our national health insurance were lack of money to finance the treatment of NCD because of the smoking. According to your experience in Malaysia, is it effective to apply the syntax for the tobacco to reduce the number of the smokers, or is it just to increase the national health?
Actually, in Malaysia, we have been fighting for years for that syntax. Until now, there's no approval, because any tax or we are plan to take taxpayers' money or from community money, so we need to go to the parliament. So over the years, I think in the parliament is with different background of all the politicians, still not approved for that syntax. And we know that there are many studies that have been showing that with syntax meaning we take the tax and put at the health promotion or something like that. But it's not done yet in Malaysia. But we are still fighting for that. Okay? Super.
Thank you. My name is Ira from Indonesia. Actually, one of the questions is kind of similar with my colleague from Indonesia. Because the smoking is a problem and we have a different outlook to control that. And the second question is about your car-free day.
Car-free day, yeah. Yes, good.
I guess my question then, are you applying that for the whole day?
No. Yes. Yes.
Sunday and from 6 to 9?
Same. I think same.
Oh, okay.
It's around the same, but if it's a big event like run or walking competition, they will extend the time up to afternoon. Yes. Okay. Oh, Bruce, yes.
Yeah. Because of the evaluation that was done in the first phase, your government was able to identify its weaknesses and adapt. And I just wanted to highlight though that even at the national level, sometimes when in the planning phases, they were still not specific targets that were set.
Yeah.
But if the evaluation hadn't been done, you could never have adapted.
Yeah.
So I really thank you for presenting that because it reinforced everything.
Thank you. It's a multi-approach, and we cannot just one or two indicators. That is why we have 9 strategic plan. But inside of all that action plan, there are all the strategies to put in. Okay, thank you, Bruce.
Once again, thank you, Dr. No Isaac, Shaki's wonderful presentation. Next presenter, okay.
Okay, I think we're all hungry. So I'm going to make this very short. So hopefully in 10-15 minutes, I'll go through the presentation and just share with you some lessons and hopefully to be able to get some feedback from you. This is a project that I only started working on it beginning of this year after I stepped down as the dean. And it actually expands from what I presented yesterday. So this Healthy Campus initiative is something that we plan to do at the 2 largest universities in Singapore, NUS and NTU. Each of these universities takes in about 30,000 undergraduates each year and 10,000 graduates, and have on the average about 10,000 staff in each of the university. So this is a plan that came up as a result of what I presented yesterday, that the school were involved in the 2 national level policy, the War on Diabetes, Total Workplace Safety and Health. And so when we launched this, we were very happy and kind of, okay, we've done our job and all that. But soon after launching this, we recognized that one big problem was to change a person's behavior, you actually need to change the value system, right? And one key challenge is how do you actually change a person's value system and ensure that behavior is sustainable in the long run. And so we came up with this kind of framework that perhaps we should build a society where the first 30 years is developing habits and skills to create wealth and health. And then within the workforce, when they're economically active, they are both creating wealth as well as health. So that in the final years, you can experience resilience in both wealth and health. So to change the value system of society, we want to do that. But a worrying piece that we have was that people who are young adults, 20 to 29 years old, the proportion who became overweight and obese have gone up so dramatically, 4 times in males, twice in females. So we thought that all this data actually suggests a couple of things. One is that today's young adults, they'll be the future diabetics. They'll be the future people with NCDs. And it's actually the transition in life. And one big transition during that period is from school, from university to work. And a key strategic approach would be then to train future leaders to make sure that they have new values. So that's how we came up with this idea of let's have a healthy campus initiative that actually works at changing the value system of the undergraduates that we have with us for 3 to 4 years, and see whether these may be people in future be able to transform societal values. So a group of us came together and started working through and start off with what's the vision? What do we really want to achieve out of this Healthy Campus initiative? And we just came up with this tagline. We say that, okay, by 2025, the graduates that come out from the 2 universities, we want them to be lifelong healthy learners, right? That this 2025 graduates will value health just as much as wealth. They will continue to be lifelong health ambassadors and being able to create social movements for healthy living in society. And that they are healthier than when they first entered the 2 universities. So this was kind of like our vision statement, and we tested it around with alumni, we tested it with current students, we tested it with staff, and we tested with some policy makers. And we thought that the 3 strategy would be to try and change the norms within our campus community, to work on the environment, as well as to work on the operating system. We deliberately call it CEO, right? So to be able to change community norms or the culture, the environment and the operating system, and to highlight that it actually has to cut across all the entire 3 enterprise of a university. It is not the responsibility of just the administrative enterprise. It is not the responsibility of just the research enterprise. It's not the responsibility of just the education enterprise, but actually it is all 3. So we tested this out again with various groups and see whether we can, refine this. This is still kind of work in progress, but we took this and basically started going to the 2 university presidents. So one of the main lessons that we learned from here is that we need to start off with a vision. A vision that is perhaps simple enough, a vision that is captivating enough. Then, the governance of this whole program. This whole program is initiated by a new office that is actually set up within the Ministry of Health. It's called the Office of Health Transformation within Ministry of Health. And I work part-time there. And so the executive director of this Office of Healthcare Transformation is actually the former president of the National University of Singapore. So he has certain standing, and he kind of brought the 2 other presidents together and says, hey, let's work on this initiative. And so he formed a steering committee, and then each of the steering committee within the universities start creating their task force. And I got very, very irritated because this will not work. This looked beautiful on paper. The whole project will bloody fail, right? This kind of initiative cannot be run by committees, cannot be run by task force. But people love to form committees, people love to form task force, right? The governance will fail because firstly, there is lack of real accountability, right? The steering committee right on top is under Ministry of Health. The two universities are under Ministry of Education. They agreed, the two presidents agreed to come together because, the former president of the NUS called us together, isn't it? Right? So it's a lot of those kind of dynamics that is going on. It will fail. Right? We need to change this. So governance accountability for any programs, any initiative, very, very important. You've got to get that right, right from the beginning. Okay? So in a couple of days' time, when I go back, I'm meeting up with the chairman of the board of trustees of National University of Singapore, and he has summoned down the president and the provost together to that meeting. I have 3 slides to just share and to kind of see whether this could be fixed. Then stakeholder engagement and buy-in, again another crucial lesson. What we have done so far is that we have done environmental scan of food environment and walkability in both universities. We conducted workshops to see whether there are some ideas from the ground as to what success look like, what are source for potential projects and any ideas. So some of the ideas that came up were pretty good. Don't talk about health, have health by stealth. Okay? So say for example, you put financial and health literacy together rather than health separately. How to increase the proportion of students involved in health advocacy, create a long-term cohort study, even cut down shuttle buses, make campus car-free and so forth. So this were some of the ideas that came from both staff and students. Another important lesson that we learned was we came up to try and define what success looked like. And everybody came up with a list and so forth, And we tried to kind of link them, to put them as short-term outcomes, intermediate outcomes, long-term outcomes. I think the key thing that I want to highlight is that you need to make sure that all the outcomes are actually linked to each other. And one useful model that I use is the logic model. And I like the logic model because it put a lot of emphasis in making sure that the input, output, and outcomes are all linked. A lot of times we tend to focus a lot on the input in the sense that, everybody is asking for more money, more manpower, And then the outputs are more the actual program and the process indicators. And finally, the outcomes are short-term, intermediate, and long-term outcomes. That they must be linked. Most programs, we monitor process indicators, but then we do not link them to short-term outcomes, intermediate outcomes, long-term outcomes. So it's easy to list them, but it may be actually quite difficult to see the link between them. And I think the key is to identify the link between them. So outcome and process indicators need to be connected. The final point to highlight is design always for scaling. We tend to design our projects as pilot projects, and it will work very well as a pilot project, but then when you scale it, you find that it fails. So right from day one, design it for the purpose of scaling. So what are we trying to scale this Healthy Campus project? There's possibility of the government letting us play with an entire lake district of, I think this was, I can't remember how big it is. This is 360 hectares plot of land where there's undergoing development, new development, and they want to make this new development a healthy precinct. So this is very close to both universities, and the idea is that how do we train our future graduates to be able to go into this community and work in this community, as well as be able to be having social movements for health within this community. So the idea is that we want to actually scale it not just to the university, but into the community completely. Right? So just a summary that this were some of the main lessons. You need to have a clear and captivating vision. Make sure the governance and accountability is sorted out. Getting stakeholder engagement and buy-in. Ensure that all your outcome and process indicators are connected. And finally, design for scaling. Thank you. I got 5 more minutes before you can go for your lunch. Any questions or points to raise? Yeah.
Right. Just 2 comments. One is you noted earlier that the project will fail because of the setup of various committees. How then, to ensure the success of this project, do you actually change those committees, the task force? And my second question is this: since this is a healthy campus within the university, and you are involving students, so where are the voices of the students? And does the students get a say in the decision making at a higher level?
Okay, good questions. I'll answer the easier one first, which is the second question. So yes, students are involved. So we have got students into the workshops, and we have tested out the vision statement and so forth and so forth. But this is still very much at a planning stage, right? Still, in fact, pre-planning stage, if you want to put it that way. Right? So it's still very, very early. Then the more difficult question, the governance and structure, right? It's beyond my pay grade to change the steering committee. And most of us would feel that way. Most of us will feel that, oh, I'm running a program, I'm a small fry in that entire hierarchy, I have not much influence. It may be beyond your pay grade, but actually you can influence. Right? So I think one important lesson is that, yes, it may be beyond your pay grade. How do you try and exercise influence? Right? So one of the things is, okay, whose pay grade is it to say that this has to be done, for example, under an official and proper setup? Chairman of the board, right? The president of the university may say, yeah, this is a good idea, go do it, set up a committee, and that's it, right? How do you, in a sense, go above? Yeah, you have to go above by going to the chairman. But who are you to go to the chairman? Okay? So essentially, you will need to then actually plan and arrange in such a way that you are able to get your voice heard, right? So I'm suggesting to you that if you want to make change, you want to be a change agent, you have to learn the art of public health. You have to learn to be a bit of being able to see power structures and maneuver, right? So all I did was I just at a social gathering, and the president was there, the chairman was there. I just went up and had a chat with him. He knows me, and then they kind of say, "Oh, what have you been doing recently?" That's the perfect opening statement, right? And I kind of suggested this. Oh yeah, we're doing this, and if you like, I can give you a briefing, right? And then after that, sure. Of course, chairman says, sure. After that, you just drop him an email and says, oh, we met at the drinks the other day, would you like me to give you a briefing? Right? They say, yes, my secretary will set it up. Right? Then you got to be very, very careful because this is a very risky game you play. Okay? Right? Make sure that your message, make sure what you want is very, very clear. That's why my rule is always 3 slides. 3 slides, 3 minutes. You have a 3 minutes to pitch right? Your points, okay? I actually script out my 3 minutes. I actually memorize my 3 minutes, right? So my point is that the need to be very, very well prepared, the need to kind of, in a sense, play some of these games sometimes, right? Yes, Priya?
Since you are looking to change from birth right up to when you're looking at that pathway, and yesterday you talked about a similar model at the workplace, and today you're talking about doing it on the campus. So what I'd like to know is, are they sort of complementing each other so as you go throughout the years, the programs complement each other from birth to death?
Yes, ideally that should be the way, right? Ideally, I would want to start all the way from, primary school, okay, nursery, right, preschool education, and all that. But I find that our schools are very resistant because essentially the point is our time is very, very tight. Our syllabus is already very cramped. You want to have another subject called health education and health promotion. No, thank you, right? So that one I'm working through the War on Diabetes office under the Ministry of Health, where we actually created what we call a citizens jury. In other words, we kind of have citizens who come up with ideas. And I planted several teachers, retired teachers, to come up with this idea of saying, actually we don't need a new subject. We don't need health promotion 101. How do we do health education, health promotion by stealth? Right? So the teachers came up with examples, says, oh, actually in primary school mathematics, we can actually set this question. 1 can of Coca-Cola has 9 teaspoonfuls of sugar. Right? Bruce drank 3 cans of Coca-Cola. How many spoonfuls of sugar did he consume? It's mathematics. It's not health promotion. But by stealth, Coca-Cola equals 9 teaspoonfuls of sugar. Right? So a lot of this kind of things could be done as well. Yeah? And I agree with you, it is a continuation, but we felt that this university's students would probably be a strategic group, because then once they go into the workplace, right, hopefully they can make change, and then especially if they rise up in the hierarchy, they can in future. So health promotion for NCD in particular take a long time. But we are epidemiologists. We are very patient people. We conduct cohort studies, right? So it is a long-term process that we have to be focusing on.
Yeah, I have a tricky question for you. Now I value health just as much as wealth. But when I was 20 or 30, marriage was more important, money was more important, good job was more important. And I don't remember when I started to value health just as much as wealth. So in theory, I perceive it's important. But for these young people, they take health as a default status. Health is quite natural things. So they're always thinking something beyond health. And I'm not sure how you can be successful to make them feel health is important as much as wealth. This might be a challenging issue.
Yes, definitely very challenging. I'm not underplaying that. But I think that relates to the first question. How are the students involved in this whole thing? I think one of the key things now is for messaging, for programs, it has to come from the students, not top-down. Top-down, we can create the environment. So I like your illustration of somebody pushing things up. Top-down is to make the slope less. Bottom up is, in the first place, you're willing to go up there and push that ball. Okay? So I think the ability to get the students excited to come and say, I want to push that ball up, it has to be coming up from a lot of ground up initiatives. One encouraging thing is that our school do not offer undergraduate program, but we offer what I call a public health minor. And initially, as academics who are teaching master students were a bit lazy. You mean teach undergraduates? So we say, okay, class size restrict to 50, right? That was 2 years ago. Today our class size is about 1,200 doing public health minor, right? And we actually have to run so many classes. Each class we restrict to about 60 students, right? So there is actually an increasing awareness. Surprisingly, there is actually an increasing awareness, especially among tertiary undergraduates, right? That, hey, there is something more to life in that sense. Maybe it's because actually more the consciousness about the environmental issues, perhaps, right? That somehow that, so the underlying message is also, let's not just push health. Let's push together with other things. Together, right? That's the thing. Okay, I think you're all very hungry already. All right.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shah. Always the master of strategic thinking. So lunchtime, and I have some house rule and guidelines to announce. First, we will departure at 1:30 p.m. from here to another hospital to do the field trip. So we actually have only 1 hour for lunchbox. And for whoever sit in this class who are not registered, please return the proceedings to our reception table, because these proceedings cost us NT $600 each. Very expensive, and we don't want to waste. Okay. And the second thing is that please later on use your badge to claim the lunchbox outside from our assistant. And then find your group number in page 74. If you kindly look over page 74 to 70 to 83, you can find your pictures and which group you belong and find your tutors, okay? And then our arrangement for the lunch space is for group 1 and group 2 will be the other side of this big classroom. So we will need 8 tables in that side of classroom. Please help us. And then group 3 will go to classroom 203, somewhere in this floor. And then group 4 will go to room 206. 206. Is that clear? All right. So let's move. Thank you.